Once upon a time, someone like you sat down to write a story. Welcome to Create a Comic. I'm Lucinda. I'm the Teen and Children's Librarian at Balham Library, and today we're going to talk about beginnings. Are you ready? Once upon a time. So, what makes a great beginning? A great beginning needs to suck you into the story. It needs to grab you from whatever world you've come from and pick you up and take you off with it into another world. Sometimes the best beginnings are dramatic and exciting and full of action. Sometimes they're softer, they're calmer, they're more thoughtful, or they're funny. They play with what you expect in some way. There are lots of different ways to come up with an amazing beginning. So I'm going to start off by reading you some of my favourites, and I want you to have a listen and see if you think you would read on. Okay? Beginning number 1. Tom Dashwood was up before the cock crowed, which wasn't as early as you might imagine because it was a Friday. The cock always had a lion on Fridays. It was still pretty early though, and the servants had only been up 5 hours when Tom appeared in the great hall. That's the start of The Unlikely Outlaws by Philip Ardagh. You can tell from the first line that it's going to be a funny book, and also that it's set in a world where people are measuring time on things like cockcrow and sunrise. There are servants, so we already know we're living in a vaguely medieval world, and it's going to be a silly medieval world. This tells us everything we need to know to get sucked in and to take us off on an adventure. Would you read on? Let me know. You ready for beginning number 2? The monster showed up just after midnight, as they do. Connor was awake when it came. He'd had a nightmare. Well, not a nightmare, the nightmare. The one he'd been having a lot lately. The one with the darkness and the wind and the screaming. The one with the hands slipping from his grasp no matter how hard he tried to hold on. The one that always ended with, "What about that one?" That's the start of the amazing A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. It's a really good book. It's got a lot of deep feeling and a lot of deep myth in it as well. And I just love the first 2 lines. The monster showed up just after midnight, as they do. It tells you that Connor is living in a world ruled by monsters, by nightmares, by his own fears, that is pressing in and getting close. That tells you it as much as the cover, which is also setting it up very beautifully, and the amazing illustrations that are throughout. The pictures are telling a story almost as much as the text is on the first page. And so this is another really good one to look at for beginnings. I've got one more story beginning for you. I want to know what you think of it. Remember, please let me know what you think about any and all of these down below. I'd love to hear about it. This is our 3rd beginning. You've probably been to Erie-on-Sea without ever knowing it. When you came, it would have been summer. There would have been ice creams and deck chairs and a seagull that pinched your chips. You probably poked about in the rock pools with your mum, while your dad found that funny shell. Remember? And I bet that when you got in the car to drive home, you looked up at the words "Cheery on Sea" written in light bulb letters over the pier, and got ready to forget all about your day at the seaside. It's that kind of place in the summer. This book starts off by telling you that what you think you know is automatically going to be wrong. You've probably been here without knowing it. It's that kind of place in summer. It takes what you expect and it turns it upside down. And so it sets you up from the beginning for a book that's going to play with what you expect, going to play with maybe how stories work, maybe how places work, but it's going to be trying to subvert your expectations a bit. And this book is Malamander by Thomas Taylor, which came out last year and is a lot of fun. If you like exciting adventures like P.G. Bell or Charles and Morrigan Crow, any sort of fun, slightly subversive, exciting, magical and twisty middle grade story, then this is a great pick. I chose those three beginnings because all these books do a really good job of creating openings in different ways. They all tell you what the book is going to be like, and hopefully they make you want to read on, but they all do it in ways which are true to themselves. So when you're coming up with the start of a great story, you need it to be exciting, inviting, to give people hints of what to expect without telling them everything they need to know or everything that's going to happen. You want to intrigue your readers, tug them along, pull them into the action and into the story before they get distracted or change their minds. It's a bit like that for graphic novels, but it's a bit different too. We're going to look at a couple again. I've still got right here with me Snapdragon and Nightlights. We're going to look at the start of both of these and see what they do. And then we're going to start coming up with our own, okay? So Snapdragon first, open it. Quite a simple title page, and then our town has a witch. She fed her eye to the devil. She eats roadkill and casts spells with the bones. That's the kind of bull the dumb kids at my school say. Witches ain't real. So we start off on the first page. It's very atmospheric. We've got a bird, got cawing ravens. You can see them all the way through the pages. We've got spooky trees looming overhead. We've got this mysterious dark space encroaching as the very small amount of words and dialogue sets it up. And then down to earth with the foot on the ground. Witches ain't real. So we set it up. We set up the idea of the fairy tale space, the witches, all of that, and then witches ain't real. Back to reality. The cawing stops, our feet hit the ground, bike skids, and this is where we go. So that's how Snapdragon starts. We looked a bit at how Nightlight starts last week, so it shouldn't take too long to do it again. This one is more illustrative, and we've got a lot of white space, Sandy in the middle, a lot of doodles. Sandy, go to bed! We're in her world, we're in her real world, but you can see all the cool things she's drawing. She gets ready for bed, she goes upstairs, she starts to dream and lights come down and this one takes a bit longer to suck us into the impossible. Whereas Snapdragon starts with the magical and then subverts it. This one starts in the ordinary world and then goes into the fantastical, inside Sandy's imagination. And already we're sold. I want to read on. I want to see all these fantastic dreams come to life. I want to see all the magic and a vivid colour become real. Two very different ways of starting, both quite quiet. Neither of them have intense action scenes, but I don't know about you, but they both made me want to read on. So let's have a look and work out how to do this for ourselves. The opening of a good graphic novel is a bit like the opening of a film. You want to set the scene. You want to visually and thematically, narratively draw people in to the story. You want them to be in the world and you want them to care about the characters, to see where this might go, to be curious and excited to explore the world. And so I think that the things that a good graphic novel opening needs are atmosphere, a sense of place, a sense of character, and a hook. So that's atmosphere, a sense of place, a sense of character, and a hook. And we're going to try and come up with some of those for our stories and our characters today. I'm going to try and come up with one for Zaffy, which I hope Carolyn is going to do some drawing of next time. And I'd love to hear it if you've come up with any fantastic starts for your own stories, or if you've got a better one for my story. I don't know, you might be way better at this than me. So what we're actually going to do is I want you to find somewhere really calm again, somewhere where you feel happy and comfy. I'm clearly back in the garden. I've got my notebook, I've got my pen, I've got my daydreams, I've run out of bubbles, so I'm going to have to watch the flies buzzing about instead, but that works too. You can do whatever works for you. And I want you to daydream, think about your characters, think about your story and the 3-point plan you came up with, and try and work out what a good beginning for that would be. It might be the first part of the story where things start to happen. So it could be in a moment where your character decides to leave home, to go off on an adventure, where Zaffy decides to go and try and look for her parents. Or it could be a sort of prologue thing, 10 years earlier, 5 years earlier, a month earlier, 100 years earlier, anything like that. Get daydreaming, get creative, and I'll check back in a little bit. Let's go. After a while thinking and daydreaming and letting my mind wander, I decided that what I really wanted to do was start with Zaffy and Sam having fun, telling us about their world and the world they live in, and subverting expectations a bit. So I think I've got about a 2-3 page spread, sort of like the start of Snapdragon here, because it's going to set it up and then turn it upside down. And it would be great to hear your opinions on this, see if you think it works or not. But this is my idea. We begin with Zaffy steering a boat through chopping waves, being chased by a shark. It's all very dramatic. The wind is rushing round overhead. The waves are choppy and high and low. She's very focused. The shark is coming close in beside her. It gets too close, and she pokes her hand into the water and twists her wrist like this, and a wave propels her forward. You can see the magic glance off her hand as she does it. So the shark gets left behind, and then she docks the dinghy at a little jetty in the shanty and laughs. And then Zaffy, nice try, you're still too slow. A boy with a shark's head pulls himself out of the water onto the planks. I almost had you. Dream on, says Zaffy. I was miles ahead. You are the slowest shark I've ever met, Sam. Sam says, you were using magic, though. I'm fairly sure that's cheating. Zaffy, whatever. You're on swabbing duty for the week. My turn and yours. Sam, Zaffy, that's not fair. While this is happening, you see them walking up the jetty towards the shanty in the evening light. They're squabbling, having fun, and in the distance you can see the floating town is alive. The lights are on, you get to see how the world works, how it fits together. And that is, I think, quite a good first scene, because it tells us who our main characters are. It tells us a bit what they're like, the fact they have fun together, the fact that Zaffy has magic, that Sam can turn into a shark, all of those things. And at the same time, it's light-hearted, it's fun, but it still gives us a sense of the characters and the world. So that's my idea. If you have a better idea, please tell me. I'd love to hear it. The other thing is that this is an idea I've got now, but it might not stay the same. In a couple of weeks' time, as always, I might have a better idea. I might be able to come up with something fantastic, maybe that uses a prompt, maybe that uses another idea I've had, and I might be able to twist it all up together to make something amazing and fantastic. But right now, this is what I've got. This took me about 10 minutes daydreaming, 5 minutes scribbling to come up with it. And I'd really love to hear about what you've been working on, see what you come up with, and go from there. I hope this helped. I hope you have an amazing time with Carolyn tomorrow, where you are going to start drawing some of this out. But until then, have a great afternoon, have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Ooh, one more thing before you go. If you're taking part in any of our online activities and you've got 5 minutes to yourself, it would be super helpful if you could fill out our survey. I'm going to put the link down below. So it just takes about 5 minutes to fill it out, and it's a really good way for us to learn what's working for you, what's not working, whether there's anything we can do to make it better, and how you'd like us to go forward as an online library service. So fill it in, let us know. I'll look forward to seeing you next week and have a lovely time. Take care. Goodbye.